rolling whenever you're ready.
Hi, and welcome to the Women Soaring podcast, Thriving Together. We just finished up our burnout series and how to restore your home when you are in burnout. We have a special guest today to help aid in this progress of ways we can restart and rejump our home of restoration. We have Adrian with us here today, and she is going to be talking about purposeful parenting. And I'm so excited to just jump right in. So welcome, Adrian. We are here together today, which is a treat for us because normally we're on Zooms with my team. And so it's super fun to have you in studio with us today.
I love to be in person. I always say, I'm like, my brain is not built to understand a screen, whereas I almost said, I can feel you. I can't feel you. Your presence. I love being in person. So thank you.
Yes. So can you share a little bit about yourself and what led you to this work?
So the work that I do is I am a certified parent coach and also a mom of 3 boys who are all neurodivergent. So they don't have typical behaviors and all of the books and things that you would read, especially my oldest is 16. So 16 years ago, we did not have Instagram and TikTok parenting and all the things that we have now, which sometimes is almost too much now. And all of the things that I read back then just did not support him and did not help me feel like a better mom because I was doing all of the checklists and realized how much his behaviors I felt like meant that I was a bad mom and I didn't know how to best support him. And so I started there, especially whenever he started going to daycare. I worked for a really big church and he was at daycare on campus with me. And when I would pick him up, they would say, timeouts aren't working. This isn't working. And he's just laughing at us or he's just not doing what we're asking and he's getting really physical. And then here I am reading all the things. I had every consequence, punishment, reward system out there and none of it was working. And then he would come home and he just was very physical. And so what we ended up, once he was about 6 or 7, I learned, oh my gosh, there's a lot more here and what is beneath the behavior. And so that led me to just becoming obsessed with learning about brain development and nervous system development and realizing, oh, I wasn't a bad parent. I just didn't have the right tools and I didn't have the right skills to be able to help support him. And then that led to working with parents. I got certified in 2021 and then I worked for an education startup where I did a lot of this work and we were taking all of these things that we now know from Dr. Dan Siegel and Dr. Ross Green and Alfie Kahn and all of these amazing parenting experts that are not just teaching you about behaviorism or how to stop behavior and how to look beneath the behavior. And I was able to take those things and we were able to help parents or help people start their own micro schools using these things so that kids can develop in healthy ways, not just at home, but also in schools. And then that led me to starting Raising Kids with Purpose in 2025. So last year, and here I am today.
So it sounds like this was really started out of the passion of just being a mom, right? Yeah. Just your own trials that led to your searching and seeking of what am I doing? And you know what? I don't think that there is a mom that has not felt like I am doing this all wrong. I truly believe there are moments where we just have hard days and it is, you want something different, right? And so I do love that you chose to figure that out. And what is that different? Why? And you went deeper and sought that out, which is really inspiring. So I just love that. Can you maybe share an experience where you just felt so overwhelmed or disconnected from just the probably hamster wheel of being a mom when you are trying to figure this out?
So my oldest, he ended up getting diagnosed later with ADHD and he's also profoundly gifted. We did not even see gifted on the radar for him because it took him forever to learn his colors and he did not learn the alphabet song. All my friends' kids are, what? I did stroller strides at the time. I think it's called Fit for Mom now. And at the time, all the moms would be talking about what their kids can do. And I just go, my kid is building things and cutting stuff out. And he would make semi-trailers or working vehicles out of paper with working seatbelts and connect all these things, but he didn't know his alphabet. So I had no idea that was a sign of giftedness. And then my second child came along, and he was very observant as a child, definitely showed signs of anxiety. I guess you can be born with anxiety. There's a thicker cortex. I've learned all these things since then. And he was so easy, in quotations, because he would just sit and observe. But then once he got older, it was his brainstem was just filling with stress, and then he would have big explosive meltdowns. And so once he started school, that's where we really would see these behaviors at home. And it was incredibly hard, especially here I am. If my kids have good behavior, then that means I'm a good mom. Well, my kids weren't having good behavior. That meant I'm not a good mom. And then that belief system led to me not being able to show up as a good parent because it's just a cycle.
Because we get so stressed out of what everyone else believes and thinks that our kids should look like.
Exactly.
And that is
judgment.
It's really hard. I have 6 kids and not one of them is the same. Whew, it's a good time. I get it. There are so many eyes on us at times, and typically more of a judging eye than a helpful eye. And so I understand how we get entrapped into the cycle of the wheel, right?
And so I do remember this very specific time, and I've written about it. And when my second child, who he doesn't have formal diagnoses. He has eligibility for autism through the school system, and he probably would have a laundry list: anxiety, OCD, Tourette's. There's probably lots of things that make up his brain. And why I'm so passionate about what I do too is because I have learned so much in those beginning years. We did things that we didn't realize were causing a lot of harmful stress in his brain. It was things that the pediatrician was telling us to do. It was the things that the culture was telling us, oh, he needs more consequences. He needs more punishments. He needs to stay in bed at night. No, he needed us. He needed our nervous systems. And so we didn't know that at the time. And so when he would have really big sensory meltdowns, I remember this one time, I think he was probably 5 or 6. And I was starting to learn about this stuff, learning what behavior actually was, not just something to stop, because that's how we started was, oh, we just got to stop the behavior. And it made us feel uncomfortable. Then I realized, no, he's very dependent on my nervous system, and he needs me to stay calm. Well, I didn't have as many tools. So here I am taking all the deep breaths, moving my arms around, trying to do all the things to calm myself down. And for him, when he was younger, getting him into water was the best thing ever. But it was really hard to get him into the bathtub. Picking him up, he is screaming, yelling, hitting, scratching, all the things that are so hard to stay calm. And I get him into the bathtub. And what I would do is I would throw glow sticks in there, turn all the lights off, and it would just be like this sensory bath for him. And he was finally calmed down. And I remember just sitting on the toilet. I'm going to get emotional and just crying on the toilet. I can't keep living like this. Something has to change. So that way, I think was my breaking point. And then I found Dr. Dan Siegel, The Whole Brain Child, and Tina Payne Bryson. And the two of them together have written The Yes Brain and The Power of Showing Up, The Whole Brain Child, No Drama Discipline. Read all of those. And then from then, I was able to start implementing and practicing this way of parenting.
So I like to call that the mama bear in you, right? You knew something wasn't right, and you chose to really dive deep and figure it out instead of going with the status quo and staying on the hamster wheel. And that is so empowering, I think, for moms, because I know for myself, there have been plenty of times that I get sucked into the idea of what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, actually, no, I am raising my kids differently. And there's a reason God gave them to me. And right. And so that it's not the end. I know. The end of me letting other people judge. No, but it's really important to be that mama bear. But so for you, for everyone listening, I actually got to see Adrian in person at a Momco event where she spoke, and you spoke about playing. And I remember thinking, I'm really sorry you're about to hear what I really thought. No, I remember thinking like, yeah, I don't got time for that. I literally thought that. I was like, I do
not alone.
Not have time to have play while my child is melting down, and I need to get out that door. And I know I'm not the only mom who probably, no offense, were like, Adrian, you're cute. So that is probably what happened a little bit, right? But we're going to hear, I actually implemented things that you had said. So I'll share that in just a little bit, but about how it worked. And I had to really shift quickly that I'm going to listen and see what God wanted me to take from that. Because for me, play and discipline don't go together, and behavior and play didn't go together. And so that was really hard for me. So let's jump into this. So why is play so important in the home?
I want to recognize something that, or point out something you said is play and discipline do not go together. Well, then what would you say discipline is then?
What would I say discipline is?
What would you say discipline?
See, this is where it gets hard for me because I come from a Latin background and discipline is very much an I. My mom had the mom I, and we all knew you listen.
Right.
Or you don't want to actually know. You don't want to know what comes after the I, right? That was our discipline. So I don't have the I. I actually really would like to have the I. I don't have it, but I don't have the look. Everyone talks about the mom look. I don't have it, in case you're wondering.
That's good, because that probably means that your kids' brains are safer, so that's good.
I don't have it. But I don't know. That was what discipline was, right? Okay. And so correction. Now, I actually don't do that. In my home, to me, discipline, you can change a behavior, but that isn't the same as changing their heart. And so for me, I'm looking at, I want a heart change. I don't want a behavior change, because with the heart change, the behavior change will come. So that is why discipline's a weird one, because I was raised with a very different outlook on it.
And that is what most people's paradigm is. So you've already started that shift to, it's not just about the external behaviors, but it's about the heart behind it. It's about you wanting them to be a good person, not just act like a good person, the difference between that. Well, when we look at discipline in the Bible, it is to teach. The disciples were to teach somehow along the way because of control. We wanted to have control over these little people. And it's easy to have control over little people because their brains are super underdeveloped. And so if you have this, what I call power over parenting versus power under parenting, which is that permissive parenting, where I go is empowered. And you've used that word, is we're going to be empowered and we're going to empower our children to make good choices. So the difference between discipline and what you're saying is just correction or compliance first, or obedience first, is there's no teaching. If we look at it from a mindset, or if we look at it from a neurobiological standpoint, is the brain is super underdeveloped. So we come in with these consequences, punishments, correction, obedience first. The brain's not learning anything. Dr. Becky from Good Inside, I love this quote. She said that kids are born with all of the emotions and none of the skills. Discipline teaches. The number one way to teach a skill is through play. They're not separate.
I know you're looking at me.
I know.
Go ahead. Keep going.
That is the number one way, because the brain's mode of learning is play. Your child, all 6 of your children, their first language is play. So think about if you've been in an environment where you don't speak the language, you probably start getting frustrated, or if other people are speaking a language that you don't know, are they judging me? Are they talking about me? And it creates all these feelings. Well, if we are speaking different languages, that's what's happening too. If we're coming in with the mom eye or the stern tone, we're just shutting down their frontal part of their brain. We want I told you I forgot to bring my brain. I love showing my brain. This is our prefrontal cortex. This is the most, it doesn't fully develop until 25 to 28. Boys, they are saying, is later.
Great.
I just spoke to a mom group, and the mom one of the moms said, my husband has 2 more years.
Oh no.
She said, this makes so much sense. What happens, so what we want our kids to have that access to that part of their brain. But what's happening is they have access to the limbic, to the downstairs brain, what Dr. Dan Siegel calls it. And that's the emotional centers. That's the reactivity. They just don't have what's called executive function skills yet. That's logic, reasoning, organization, time management, all the things that we want our kids to have. And when they have those things, it does make parenting a little easier. The way we're trying to teach those things is actually disconnecting from that frontal lobe to that downstairs brain. Play is the number one way to build those connections, because that is their first language.
So
Am I selling you yet? No.
No, you did have us do some things that
I did.
Obviously made me very uncomfortable. In case you guys are wondering, she actually had the whole room of 100 ladies get up and dance That was right. We had to dance across and all these things that actually really made me uncomfortable in front of all these women, which I was chatting with them while dancing. And I was like, I would have no problem actually doing this in my kitchen. I do it all the time. I dance, I sing, I do all that in the kitchen, right? But I am not doing that in front of 100 women.
It is different.
What were you trying to do to us that day? You really brought a lot of us out of our comfort zone.
Right.
Honestly, but we were
laughing.
We were able to, I would say, receive what you had to come our way of information because you were taking out. You definitely were stretching some of us, I would say.
Well, and it's different in a room of 100 versus a lot of the momcos I speak to are 15 to 20. It's not as, because you have less eyes on you, less what's happening to you. And what we learned about play languages. So maybe at home, dancing and singing and all those things is a play language of yours. And it's something that you just haven't practiced out in front of people yet. And it just takes time. And so also, or maybe dancing is not your play language. And so that is not something you probably should implement at home. We have lots of different play languages too. Organization, cozy and being cuddly and reading books, baking.
That's not mine. Those are not my play languages, guys.
What is your play language?
I am the goofball, actually. I am known for my ridiculous
silliness, quirkiness.
Yes, I definitely love a good let's all dress up and go have a good time personality. For instance, actually for my birthday, because my sister was a part of all this with me, but everyone actually was. But I made everybody dress up in their best 70s garb, and we went out to a game show host, right? Or for my husband's birthday last year was we all dressed up in sumo outfits, and we went to the driving range, and we all were hitting balls and massive inflatable sumo
Oh my
things.
gosh, how fun.
So I love it, but I'm mentally prepped for that. It did not mentally prep me to dance in front of 100 women.
I told you guys to bring stuffed animals. How were you not?
I forgot mine.
I love it.
But so I do want to talk about the importance of the connection between parent and child through play.
Yes.
What is the big connector and why is that so important?
Again, looking at brain science, Dr. Dan Siegel talks about in the whole brain child is we want to connect right brain to right brain. A lot of times we're trying to connect left brain to left brain, but that is, they don't have access to that. So we want to come into connection, softness, not logic and reasoning, especially if a child is having a tantrum or they're losing it or they're not listening to you or they're sassy, or we don't want to come in with logic because that just shoves them further down to the downstairs brain. And so we want to connect the right brain. Well, the number one way to do that is by being playful. And honestly, the more you do this, the more the kids will just naturally want to interact with you that way. And it feels so much better. With my son, I shared a story about getting him into the bath at night every night. It's something that we have to come up with. But then I realized he will just start something and then I don't have to think about it and I just take his lead. Or the other day I did an Instagram story on this. He was slamming his face into the back door and making all these faces. I could have been upset because we just washed the windows. Instead, I just took that opportunity to connect with him that way. I go and slam my face into the glass and then he slams me this way and I slam it. It was maybe 90 seconds. And that was just, we're connecting without talking, without me correcting him, without me telling him what to do. And then I don't know if I had gotten into this when I spoke, but self-determination theory teaches us that to be motivated to do anything, we need three things. And it is to feel competent, have autonomy, and have connection and have relatedness. And a lot of times when we are frustrated with our kids or we're trying to get them to do things and they're just not listening or they're disrespectful or they're losing their minds about something that we think is really silly, it usually comes down that there's something missing from one of those three. And that's us too. If you think about your human motivation, if someone's coming and yelling at you and telling you to get dressed and how do you respond?
You're like, no, thank you.
No, but then we want our kids to respond differently. And so we do that playfully. I had said with my 16-year-old, it's really hard to keep his room clean and executive function, especially with the ADHD. Not that it's an excuse. We're still working on those skills. I'm trying to set him up for whenever he has a wife one day. You're welcome. No, whoever's out there. And I can come in and get all naggy and power over, and he would look at me and not do it anyways. Or I can come in and be playful. I act like a little old lady and, oh, there's stuff here on the floor. And he still looks at me like I'm crazy, but then he typically does do it. And he has requested, he prefers old lady mom than real mom, because it's more playful and fun. Or it wasn't that long ago, he was like chasing me around the house. It did feel weird because he's like a grown man now, but it's just that connection that we're having and it looks different. Or we listen to comedy in the car together, or podcast together, or he just started working out, so we'll go to the gym and lift together, like that. Just connection, connecting you two.
You did tell the story about the little old lady, guys, and I'm like, I just felt like I don't have time to stop to go find something to put on my head to see if this works. I'm so sorry. All right. So anyways, but I actually came home that day and my 15-year-old jumps on the bed with me and I'm like, hey, dude, what's up? And he proceeds to try to wrestle me, and he is much bigger than me now. And I'm like, bro, because I actually just need you to do your school. I need you to get on your school. But I did not say that. You'd be so proud of me.
I already am.
Okay, so instead, I wrestled the kid, and
yes, that's awesome.
So
especially because he was bidding for attention through wrestling, whereas if you just came and tackled him, and was expecting it, there's nuance to this. Don't just go and tackle your kid.
Guys, sorry, he started it. I'm just gonna. Now I sound like him.
But that's good. Then you pick it up from there, and that is, to me, he's saying, "Hey, mom, I do need this connection. I do want this connection, especially in the teenage years. It's all about friends." Gordon Neufeld teaches us we still need to hold on to them, even if they seem like they don't want us to hold on. And the fact that he's wanting to wrestle with you, I'm like, go mama. That means you have a great connection with him.
So no, but he did. We wrestled. And I like to think I won. But he gets up and he's like, I'm a man now and whatever. All right, go to your school. And he's like, all right. And he walked out and went and did his school. And I'm all,
oh, there's something to this.
All right, Adrian. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I did. I got to use it actually within the same day. And I was laughing because I eventually told my team, I believe the next day, about you. And I'm like, hey, I'm reaching out to her because I think it would be great as a home reset for our women who are moms, and we're constantly having to shift and adjust, and so many are military spouses. So there is just an insane amount of shifting that we go through within our home with husbands in and out, and there's a lot of transition for us. And so that was a huge reason I reached out, because I was implementing things that I heard, and they were going pretty well.
Well, you keep saying, I heard you say it a couple times now, you keep saying, I don't have time to do this.
Isn't that
It's
awful?
not adding to it though, because you don't have to go get a blanket. I could have been an old lady without, it's just this. I already am using this to communicate to him. I'm just shifting and making it a funny voice. I'm not doing anything on top of what I already was going to be doing.
Well, and I believe that's where lies come into moms. And there are so many lies, and we talk about that a lot. What are the lies you are believing? What are the lies of why your house is feeling burnt out? Why are you choosing to keep yourself so busy? What is the lie behind that of why you are doing that? So it's the same with me. The lie is, I don't got time for that. That's the lie. But we all have something we have to seek out and figure out, because the truth is, when my child goes into a crazy meltdown or I'm not doing schoolwork fit, all the things, that takes
so much more time. I was going to say there's a story that one time I remember chasing my son around the island to get him out to school. He goes to a micro school. Could not get him to get dressed. And I'm chasing him, and then I stopped. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm taking all this time to try to force clothes onto him. I take his shirt and I stopped and I paused, and then just pausing gets them looking at you. Wait, what's happening? They're not chasing me anymore, because he was getting energy from me. He was getting connection from me, even though it's not necessarily the way I want to connect with him. And I take his shirt and start pretending to put it on. And I'm like, oh, I can't get my arm through this hole. Is this where the hole goes? And I'm putting on my legs. He's dying laughing. Now, this is really cool. If you have a child who's melting down, if you can get them laughing, you are switching neural connections completely, neural patterns in their brain. So you're shifting to this whole different part of their brain where they can actually comply. Whereas he was in a place where he couldn't comply. He was upset. He was angry. He was really frustrated because he wanted to keep sleeping. Who doesn't want to keep sleeping in the morning? By using play, by pretending to put the shirt, I started getting him to laugh. Once he started laughing, I knew I had him. And within that, he grabs the shirt from me. No, this is the way you put it on. And he puts the shirt on. So what about our pants? And I put the pants on my head. He's like, no, this is the way I put my pants on. Puts his pants on. And I'm like, oh, socks. And I stick them on my hands. No, this is the way. It took less than a minute. Whereas if I would have kept chasing around that island, we would have been late. I would have been more frustrated. I would have probably started yelling. I would have disconnected our relationship. And instead, I used play to bring us together. And it was more fun for me too. Because then I started getting into it because it was more fun than keep yelling at him.
Right. Running around an island.
Yes.
So let's talk about some ways that we can use play to help reset, because that's our whole series, right? We're trying to reset our home, and many of us are trying to make it not feel so heavy or that we're always yelling. I truly believe one of the things I hear the most from moms is, I am tired of always being the bad guy. That is a big one. Have you felt that? I feel that. I've said that recently to my husband. I am tired of being the disciplinarian, the one that is keeping everything in check. So how can we reset our home when it feels heavy like that?
When you're using play, do you feel like the bad guy if you're being playful and wrestling? And what was the story you told me about your daughter?
So let's talk about a play reset, because you did talk about play reset. So I will give an example of me utilizing your words. So my daughter, I'm going to give a little backstory for people that might be new listening. My daughter actually drowned, and by the miracle of God, she is still with us.
Wow.
And just the funnest little girl. She keeps us on our toes, but we love her. We're so grateful for her. But she is a miracle story in and of itself. 100%, that is a God miracle right there. But there are times that she has not figured out how to emotionally regulate, and now she's 8. And so when we were taking her to get seen, they're like, well, she is stuck somewhere in this 2-year-old brain of hers when she drowned. And it's just a small spot, but we can't figure out what isn't developed. So these meltdowns get very wild and at times harmful, because she's not the nicest. She can definitely hurt some siblings when she gets a little angry.
Throw things.
Yes. And so we have to be really careful and mindful how we maneuver her at this point.
Yes.
So school is one of my hardest things. And as a homeschool mom, you just sometimes get tired. I don't want to keep fighting. We just do what we're supposed to do, right? So the next day after I heard you speak, I was like, oh, do something else. She's already melting down. I just mentioned that we were going to sit down together, and I've tried to word it every single way. We're just going to sit together and I'm going to read your whatever. It doesn't matter. She's melting down. She's like crumbling in the hallway. I'm like, Lord, no.
I really don't have this.
I don't have time. We got to do this. And so out of nowhere, I just started playing paper, scissors. I was just like, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And she's like not participating. She's like, what are you doing? Looking at me as, what is happening right now? I'm like, oh, did I win that one? And so then she's like, no, you didn't. And she begins to play rock, paper, scissors with me. She actually won all 3 in a row. And I actually was humbled because I did not throw those games. So she legitimately won those games. I'm like, wow, she really got me every time. But I was like, all right, let's go sit down. You won. And she went into the school, even though, why is that a win for her to come do schoolwork? I have no idea, but she came and sat with me and did schoolwork. And it happened again. And I played rock, paper, scissors again. And she came and sat and did school with me. I'm all, well, that was a lot faster than her 5-minute meltdown. That was like 1 minute, 3 games in a row of rock, paper, scissors. And she came and sat with me. And so I did. I emailed you about that because I played rock, paper, scissors.
So to answer your question, how to reset the home is being playful. It's not necessarily, oh, I need to sit down and pretend to be a dinosaur or a horse. That's what people think. What play is connection. And it is where you're accessing your highest sense of self and being humbled and just letting down your guard and truly showing your child, I can speak your language too. And just being more playful, just chasing them around the house. Something that I coach parents, and I will tell them to pretend like you are sucking a balloon of helium and say you're getting ready to correct, we got to go do schoolwork. Well, suck the balloon. We gotta go to schoolwork. I can't even say that without laughing. And I'm sorry, listeners, as I am yelling into the microphone, but try that anytime you're getting ready to say something. You're saying the same exact thing, but imagine, and then have your kids do it too. Let's all suck balloons. If everyone is heightened, everyone's frustrated, starting to become a complete crash. But I always say it's as if you're driving and you have the option to keep your child in the other car and you're just going to come head on into a collision. Or you have the opportunity to invite them into the car with you. Mm-hmm. Play is the number one way to do that. And then we're able to work on this together because that's what a child needs. A child needs co-regulation. They need you to be regulated. They are 100% dependent on your regulated nervous system to regulate. Especially she probably had with her drowning and with her, there's probably some brain damage, I'm guessing, or they said no brain damage.
No.
But there's something with emotional regulation. So there has to be something. Yeah. Yes. So with that, then we want to lean more into connection and help her connect up to the frontal lobe.
Yes. And I do believe it's been helping. So
yes.
I wouldn't have invited you on if I didn't think your stuff wasn't working within my home. Yes. And there is something to this playfulness. And what I have really realized is, as much as you called me out on what I keep hearing is you don't have time. But the more I've been interacting with my kids, the more I realize I actually do a lot through play with my kids without realizing it. And again, it was just getting the lie out of the way, because the truth is I listened to this book. Anyways, it's British accents. And we used to live in England. And so I think it's really funny when there are certain phrases, because it's from the 1800s. And so they look down a little bit on people when they speak. But sometimes people will come in and, hello, Sophia. And I'm like, I talk to her so ridiculous. And they're laughing. And I'm like, just kidding. We got to go do school. Like,
you can keep up with that accent. I just volunteered at my kids' micro school, and there's a girl. She was shutting down. I didn't really have the relationship with her, but I had a relationship with another little girl, and she said her mom is British. I know her mom. I don't know that she is. However, I leaned into that. Oh, can you read this? And she would not read for me. Will you read this in a British accent? She started reading. I was doing my where I can't do a British accent. And then the whole rest of the time we were speaking that way. And then there was another volunteer in the room. And I heard the next week, she's like, I was even speaking Australian accents and British accents. And it was connecting with the kids. And they went from not being able to do the work at all to, again, that is their first language. And we just get it wrong by not speak. That's our first language. Just along when we become adults, we kind of lose our way. And once we start to reignite that, our brains are like, oh, I do like this. Yes. Your body says, I do like this. And that thought of, I don't have enough time is really important to stop it and go, you're choosing to have this time or not, or recognizing, actually, this takes a lot longer if I don't speak their language.
Yes. And the other night, I have examples galore for you tonight, or today. Sorry, it's not the evening. But so the other day, it was in the evening, the story took place. Okay. We were supposed to be doing bedtimes, right? And normally the house doesn't really shut down unless I shut down. And so my husband gets very like, hey, come upstairs. These children will not shut down unless you shut down. So I come upstairs, and instead I just started chasing them down and like spinning them and like throwing them on the bed. Totally not getting ready for bed. Not even close. But I want to have fun with my kids. I am tired, right? I'm tired of being the disciplinarian. But we still need to brush our teeth and get ready for bed. So we did. So we were like airplanes and all these things. I'm throwing them. And then I was like, all right, we got to take a break. You got to brush your teeth, whatever, and we'll pick back up. And so, but I got on the bed, and my husband said, it was so nice to just watch you playing with the kids. Oh. I'm like, dagger to the heart. I got it.
It's so much more fun than just yelling at them. Or when you said we still have to brush our teeth, I was working with a mom and her daughter had experienced a lot of trauma. They had left their country, moved to another country. She was escaping a lot of not good things. And her daughter had a big behaviors, could not get her to do simple things like brush teeth, put shoes on. And all she did was she just sang. And the mom was autistic, diagnosed later in life, and some of the things were harder for her to tap into being playful. So she just was using the same exact words, but put it to some song. Mm-hmm. Her daughter started brushing her teeth, going up the steps, putting her shoes on. She was doing the same exact thing, except not meeting it. Then they weren't disconnecting their relationship. And something I know we didn't have enough time to talk about is when we do have ruptures, is to come back to repair. Play is the best way to repair. Mm-hmm. And honestly, parent-child relationship, you're going to teach them so much more by having ruptures and repair. This doesn't mean, I'm just playful all the time and everything's perfect and I never yell or I never get upset with my kid. No, but coming back into repair is what matters. Mm-hmm. And they're going to learn way more from that than if you were just always perfect, because God didn't create us to be perfect.
Yes. And I do love that we've talked about quite a few examples. And when I was actually sharing with my team, we have a lot of teens on our team, right? Okay. And so a lot of teenagers. So they were like, that sounds great for little kids. But I do want to tap into a couple for teenagers and how you are still connecting with them. I know I shared mine, right? I'm wrestling a 15-year-old on the bed. But what are some other just examples where they can quickly, a parent can tap in with their kid and connect with them?
First of all, you may not want to call it play with them.
Well, that's true. I don't think my son would probably appreciate that. Let's go play together.
Well, even my high schooler goes to a hybrid, very progressive school, and they have essentially recess all day long. It's awesome because kids still should be playing at that age. They call it break instead of recess, but they are playing Foursquare and basketball and being outside. You can call it something different, hangouts or whatever you want to call it. But I've already shared lots of ideas. It's listening to podcasts together, going for a run together, finding what they're interested in. So maybe I have one kiddo that's really into anime, and that's really hard for me to get into. However, I'll listen to him talk about it, and then I try to be one of the characters, and we'll reenact some of the things that he's watching, and it's just showing I care about you. Mm-hmm. And another way is to say they're really into sports. Go shoot some hoops, go play games. Mm-hmm. My son at first was really upset yesterday that he got a chess set because he's a 3D printer, and he thought it was ridiculous that I spent money on buying a chess set when he can print his own. And he was like, why did you get this? I'm never going to open it. Well, we opened it up and we started playing. I think he played 4 total hours of chess yesterday.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot. I cannot play 4 hours.
I didn't play the whole time. That wasn't me because I don't have time to play 4 hours. But that's something too, is as you connect and play with your kids, then they start to play with each other. You have a lot of kids that can interact with each other too. So the more you're connecting that one-on-one, the more you're filling up their tank, then I've noticed that they can really connect and play with each other as well. So playing board games, playing strategy games, just find out what they're interested in.
I do have one son that, oh my goodness, I just beg for his love. Love me. Will you love me? But he has been becoming so much more affectionate for me. Or he wanted to do something last night, and he came and he's like, I'll give you some hugs. Thank you. But sometimes, he'll try to back me at the car or something. And, oh my gosh, are you trying to hold my hand? And I'll try to hold their hand. You are so ridiculous. But I don't really care. And I have so much fun. And sometimes one of my kids will let me just hold his hand.
You are such a playful parent. I think it's crazy that you think that.
Isn't it? But it's lies we tell ourselves. It's lies, right? And so, because something else I was thinking of, because I do have an older one and he has the kids. He just got the kids' Instagram account. And this has been a big deal. And it's been very big for me to let him have this. And he trolls me on Instagram, and people come just to see what my son is going to write on every one of my stories. And I just embrace it, and I'll screenshot him. And for those of you who want to see what my son said, I'll post all of his comments, and they are so
And that's playful.
ridiculous, and he thinks
Yes.
it's hilarious. It just fuels him to make ridiculous comments on my Instagram.
I was working or coaching a mom, and she started doing coaching with me again. She's really struggling with her 15-year-old's behaviors. He was starting to sneak out, lie, and all the things. And they started going back to consequences and punishments, and he felt as if they were taking all of his control away. So I taught her a tool called Plan B, comes from Frost Green. Collaborate. Let's connect first, and then say, hey, what's up? I've noticed this. What do you want to happen? She was doing that, then incorporating some play, doing it while they were walking together or in an environment where it was more playful, not in high stress situations. And then she started sending him poop emojis and weird emojis. And so she first started by building that bridge of trust and connection, and then started leaning into the play. And sometimes they're going to roll their eyes at you. That's fine. Or what I'll do is I'll go into the grocery store and just start dancing like crazy. I like dancing in front of a lot of people.
I do not.
And then I'll stop and look at them and say, do you see that you didn't explode? Nothing happened to you. You're fine. People looked at you and you're still okay. Look, feel yourself. You're okay. And that's a way to connect and play too.
So we are going to actually share your resources and everything in our show notes, and you're going to also share them in just a moment. But before we end out, what is one piece of advice that you would want to give to a mom that feels maybe she's already missed the boat? And how can they just implement one small thing today?
Well, there's this thing called neuroplasticity. It basically means that your brain can always change. They used to think it was fixed, but it's not. So it's never too late. People do this work when they're older. My dad, he's almost in his 70s, and he is reigniting play. He has grandchildren that he helps watch a lot. And it's so incredible to watch how he's basically reconnecting with his childhood through his grandchildren. So it's never too late. And if you're a mom and you feel so run down and you're just done, or you're done being the bad guy, I invite you to just work on just being and being present, stopping, getting still. Maybe start with some deep breaths. Maybe start with some movement. Movement is so important for our brains to feel good. And so maybe that's just swaying. Maybe that is jumping up and down and then getting your kids to jump up and down with you. But really pay attention to your nervous system first and what state you're in. And maybe we can have another podcast about that, because I would love to go deeper into that. And getting out of that state first, and then just take little micro baby steps into being more playful. And it could just be changing your voice. It could be just changing your body. It could be stop using this. Stop talking.
I hope this super encourages all of you women that are listening and moms out there to do one small thing. Do one small thing different, like rock, paper, scissors, or wrestling your teenage kid. So how can people find out more about you? Where can they go to your website? I know you have something to offer them. Can you share those real quick? We will have them in the show notes, but go ahead and share those.
Yes. So my blog is raisingkidswithpurpose.com. It's my website. I started blogging in 2018. There's a ton of free resources on there, lots of principles, and they're not just for you, but they're also to use with your kid. I also have a Purpose Parent Transformation Program where if you're really struggling and you do feel like I can't do this, that's what my program is all about. We do nervous system healing. We really help look at the patterns that you're in. And then I also have a Play with Purpose class that is so much fun. It is on Zoom or it's on Google Meet, but we do play. So you're not in a room full of people worrying about them judging you, and you can turn your camera off if you don't want. But we really dive into barriers, why play is hard for you. We dive into your play language, and then there's lots of grow with your kids resources from what play looks like from 0 to 5 to 5 to 10 to 12 up to teenage years. And I do have a discount code for your audience. And so we'll include that in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you again, Adrian, for being on. And thank you for listening to the Thriving Together podcast. You can can find out more about women at women-soaring.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram at thewomensoaring.com. Until next time, we'll see you later.